Hello and welcome back, hockey fans. If you could not tell by the title of the video and this picture, this video is going to be about the greatest sports debate of all time, and that is, how is it that Roberto Luongo is in the Hockey Hall of Fame and Chris Osgood is not? We're going to take a deep dive into why that might be the case and why that should change. Now, full disclosure, I am a Red Wings fan. I moved out from southwestern Ontario to British Columbia in 2000 into the hornet's nest that is Vancouver Canucks fandom when I moved to Whistler, BC. And it was a very intense rivalry at that time, i.e., the fact that they were in the same conference. We were both extremely competitive teams and extremely competitive fans, although I was extremely outnumbered. Now, having said that, let's talk about emotions in sports. I've been through it. You've been through it. Seabrook, Game 7. We were up 3-1 in the series. We lose the series. Chicago wins the cup. Then in '08, we also have Zetterberg making a great play late in the series, and a 5-on-3, we end up winning the cup. We also see Boston here beating Vancouver 4-0 in a Game 7, a heartbreaker, but game was kind of over midway through. And then Detroit off the post the year after that '08 series. Could have tied the game up, could have went into overtime, but we're going to talk about coulda, woulda, shouldas later on. Also, that very same Boston franchise, up 3-1 in a series, greatest series of our season of all time, lose the series to the Panthers. Panthers go on to lose in the Cup final. Wings, same thing. At the time, best campaign of all time in the regular season, rolling through the playoffs, get all the way to the finals, and get swept by the New Jersey Devils. And as it is in all sports, I'm a Michigan fan. Got to toss this one in here. Couldn't even punt the ball at the last second. Michigan blocks the punt, returns it for a touchdown. Well, they don't block it. Our punter decides to pass it to, the wrong team, and they score a touchdown. A couple decades later, we win a national title. So the ebbs and flows and emotions of sports are crazy, even on an acute level like this one. 4-1 in a Game 7 with 10 minutes left. You lose it. And Boston moves on. Toronto loses, another heartbreaker. Sorry, Canucks fan. My video, my opportunity to be a bag. I'm tossing this in. Lidstrom, center ice, up 2-0. Going home late in the second. 2-0 in the series is what I'm trying to say. 1-1 game. Blast one from center ice. Detroit goes on to win the Stanley Cup. Ouchie. Now, long-term pain, again, Detroit, for me, 54 years, or it was 56 years before we won a cup. So, I've been there. Wasn't a long live for that whole time, but I've been there. There's been some droughts for sure for every franchise and some close calls. The Oilers, man, 1 goal. The Canucks, 1 win short. Been there a couple times. Sabres fans, Senators, 3 wins short. And then the long-term droughts, or even all the other teams that just haven't even won a cup. But looking at the Maple Leafs, 56, Canucks 53, Flames, Oilers, Senators, Canadians, Jets, just not good. And also a drought for Canadian teams since 1993. I did do a video about that, if you want to go check that out, about some reasons for that. But let's move forward. So the issue is facts and biases. Because of those emotions, they can really draw a lot of emotions that cover up the details. And I know a lot of people did not like those Red Wings teams, and that creates a bias. But what are the facts? Before we get to that, we're going to start to look at some excuses real quick here. And all the excuses that people use. The refs, do I need to say anything? Yeah, I do. I've been there. Jonathan Erickson, not Louis. All Canucks fans know that guy. Jonathan Erickson, late in the second period, gets a hooking penalty. At that exact time, I knew the game and the series was over. Pittsburgh goes on to score, and it was over from there. Was it a bad call? Maybe, but Erickson did give him the opportunity to make that call, and Pittsburgh was well short on power plays. It's going to happen. So the refs are a static issue. We mostly all don't like them. The question I always ask is, if it happened to your team, would you want the call to happen? And most often, if you really look at a lot of calls, the answer is yes, unfortunately, from removing those biases. Or the if-onlys and what-ifs. Datsuk injured in the finals, Selke candidate, a great player. Same with Kessler. He was barely moving around. If that guy was fully healthy, maybe things would have been different, but that's not what happened. So the what ifs go out the window. Next we have, well, look at the team he played for. I've heard that so many times about Osgood. Reality, no goalie that has any success is going to be playing for a terrible team. Maybe at some point in their career they go and play for a terrible team, but if they're going to win a trophy or an award, it's because they're playing for a good team. Look at all these goalies here. Who did they play for? Good teams. Now let's move into facts and stats that hopefully can smooth out and maybe remove some of those biases. Let's start with Luongo. He's a starter for Team Canada in 2010. They win the cup. I believe the other goalies at the time might have been Fleury and Mike Smith, if I'm not mistaken. Not quite sure. Bottom line, he ended up getting the starter job. Actually, I believe it was Brodeur and Mike Smith, but not so much of a concern right now. The next Olympics in 2014, he was the backup, so I'm not really huge on saying he sort of earned that, but he does get the medal, and that's how that works. I'll say the same thing about Osgood. In 97, he was not the starter. He was the backup, but he does get his name on the cup. However, in 98 and 08, so 10 years apart, he was the starter for both these teams. Now, in 08, I believe he's just started the 14 games after 2 games of Dominic Hasek faltering. And then, again, they go on to win the cup. He has glorious stats. He does very well. So, basically, the 97 Cup as a backup, I don't even know if he played a game. He might have got some minutes in late in a game or something, but regardless, he gets his name on the cup. So let's take a look at the hardware as far as from a team perspective. And man, Ozzy, so close for a third cup, but it didn't happen. I'd have to believe that if that was the case, he's in the Hall. But again, it didn't happen. So 2 gold medals, 1 as a starter, and a couple of IIHF World Championship medals. I'm not a huge fan myself of the Olympics and these dream team things. Again, that goes for the look at the team he played for, but football doesn't have this opportunity. Sure, baseball has sort of gotten that going now. Basketball, it's just lopsided. It doesn't even matter. So, when we look at it, this is cool. It'd be ideal if he had one of these and Luongo had a cup, but that's not the case. So, as far as individual hardware is concerned, they are both tied at 0. And one of the big reasons for that, for Osgood and a little bit for Luongo, they're battling out quite possibly the 3 greatest goaltenders of all time. It looks like Gary Bettman's makeup team had a little slip or took the day off there on that time when the Conn Smythe was awarded to Patrick Roy. And a quick side note is, how cool are all of the NHL trophies? They're just awesome. I don't think anyone is remotely close to that. And especially when it comes down to the Stanley Cup, like what are these trophies? Who cares? That cup looks super cool though. If you can hold up a trophy with one hand, it's probably not worth being a championship trophy. So let's get into some more stats here. Most notably, both of these goaltenders have actually had some pretty good win records on some not so good teams. They both had some 30, and if you can look at Luongo here, had a couple 40-win seasons. But what I want to kind of note here is Luongo playing a lot of 70 games start seasons, and also of note, they both started about the same age. Their primes you can look at are pretty darn good, and they basically ended their careers about the same time. But Luongo definitely played a lot more games. So, they both played about this time, almost till their year 40 age. However, Luongo played 300 more games than Osgood did. Osgood had a slightly better goals against average, negligible. Luongo has 88 more wins, however, in 300 more games. Osgood's win rate is higher at 0.54 and 0.47, and his loss rate is lower at 0.29 and 0.38. So we're going to actually take a look at what that translates into over time here. So what is this 605 number here? Well, 605, with that win percentage, if he played that many games, that's how many wins in a roundabout, by the statistics, Osgood would have over Roberto Luongo, and he'd basically be in second place. Well, that's a coulda, woulda, shoulda, so we can't go there, but I do want to reveal that number. And if the games played for guys like Belfour and Luongo were in the 744 range, this is the amount of wins they would have. So compared to Osgood, Those numbers look pretty cool. Also, he scored a goal. Brodeur got actually 2. Kind of nice. So, that's regular season. Let's look at the playoffs. Now, in the playoffs, Chris Osgood is in the top 10, actually top 9. Roberto Luongo is 42nd all-time. Now, again, he can't control the teams he plays for and a lot of other components, but he had a 249 in the playoffs. Osgood's actually goals against average is well in line with some of the greats like Brodeur. His save percentage, also Luongo's, is very much in line. But if we look over here, we can see that all these guys are in the Hall of Fame, except for one guy who's sticking out like a sore thumb. That just seems so odd. So we got to ask ourselves how and why. Well, again, I said when I moved out to BC, everybody hated the Red Wings, and guess what? Everybody hated the Red Wings, period, globally, except for their fans. And it's no dissimilar to Habs fans hating Toronto fans, or all of the NFL hates Cowboys unless they're a Cowboys fan, Yankees, Chiefs of late, and then you have the Canadian-American component. I've never been a huge, it's a Canadian team. It's a Canadian-based sports franchise that has Canadian fans, but really they're players. The only team, the only Canadian team is Team Canada, really. So that's one of the components. The other kind of deal that I think about is Osgood early in his career, he let in a couple soft goals, but every goalie's done that. I can remember Waugh's Statue of Liberty play. Brodeur had a couple atrocious goals, but they basically outstatted those goals, and I really think Osgood did. 400 wins is a lot. I think that should get you in. So if we look at it, we might still have those biases over the facts. And if we get into facts, what do we want to typically ask about getting into the Hall of Fame? The base criteria is, did he win individual awards? Well, we kind of covered that. Luongo doesn't have any. Osgood doesn't. There's reasons for that. Again, those top goaltenders. Did he win championships? Ozzy has 3, 2 as a starter. How long did they play? Ozzy played a lot. He played almost till he's 40. Who are they off the ice? Great guy, great charitable guy. He does color commentary for the Wings now on Fox or Bally Sports, whatever it's going to be. Stats, old school or advanced metrics, I think I've shown enough to show that he definitely qualifies. Top 10 playoff wins, 400 wins all time, right up there. All-time ranks in the major categories. He's up there. He's done it. So again, why else might it be? Well, ego. I think maybe some of these guys just don't want to admit that they were wrong, or maybe they didn't like the Wings. I don't know what it is. And I'm not saying these guys are, dumb or bad people. Mike Gartner, Lanny McDonald, Burke. The only guy I'm not a huge fan of is Pierre McGuire. Some of these people are extremely smart as far as hockey is concerned. So it just puzzles me. So maybe they just don't want to admit that they were wrong the first couple times, or they don't want to have people saying, hey, you should do this. Come on, he should obviously be in there. I remember back in the day when John Cherry had to complain for years about no-touch icing and the penalties and putting padding on the panels that are by the penalty box and the benches and whatnot. And it just never happened. It was so obvious. And I just truly felt that they didn't do it because he said it. And then eventually they did it because probably every single team had a guy get injured and they said, hey, there's a better solution here. So, humans are humans. They have their egos. I kind of think that might be a thing. Again, those facts or those biases over facts. So what do we got? What do we got for a verdict here? What do you think? I'd love for you to let me know in the comments. But my verdict is, if he's in, he should be in. I think they probably both should be in. I don't think it's Lou's fault he didn't win any, championships in the NHL. He did come very close. I mean, at Game 7, what are you going to do? Those Red Wings teams were very good, but he was a starter. His name is on the cup. There's other guys that are in the Hall of Fame, like Mike Vernon, Ed Belfour. They've only got 1 Stanley Cup as a starter. This guy's got 2. Vernon was a wing, and he was on those same teams. So it's very interesting. I really think the guy should be in the Hall of Fame. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks so much for watching the video. Check out my other video as well. I'm going to be putting out some more. I'd love it if you liked and subscribed and shared. And yeah, definitely let me know in the comment section what you think. Take care.